get the latest update of what's happening in the Gauteng legislature. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says he postponed a briefing to announcing his executive because negotiations require more time. We are, of course, we were expecting him to make that announcement earlier on today. ActionSA's Funzi Ngobeni joins us now for more reaction. Funzi, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. Is the GPU falling apart? Give us an update. What's the latest? We're hearing President Cyril Ramaphosa could have intervened and said to the Premier, you need to share positions. We're hearing Solim Simang could have told his caucus, unless we agree on a proportional representation, deduction of portfolios depending on who's joining, the GNU, so portfolio allocation, decision-making, and so on and so forth. We are at a deadlock.
Yeah, good evening, Tabo, and good evening to your viewers as well. Yeah, it looks like we have a problem already with this grand coalition of the ANC and the DA. It looks like we're going to have a very long 5 years if they are going to start in this particular way. Because, like you say, it seems like they are prioritizing positions more than issues that are affecting the voters and not speaking about them. We don't hear them, arguing about where to start, whether we must start with fighting crime and bringing back the rule of law, or we must prioritize taking over all the buildings that have been hijacked in the cities. We don't hear them talking about the safety of our residents in the province. We hear them arguing about positions, and that's already showing us red flags. And we hope that they will resolve that so that we can be able to start with the key work of ensuring that service deliveries get to our residents. So that's what they should be focusing on.
Our past experience tells us that there's really no firewall between party politics and public administration. So when we are seeing turmoil within party politics that are playing out, we always worry what's happening in the public administration, in the administration of delivering of services.
Yeah, because I mean, it's something that really residents and of Gauteng needs to worry about, because we only have now the Premier at the helm, and he doesn't have his executive to support him. And as a result, a lot of work it's now standing still. I mean, there's so many people that are waiting for these MECs to get into their offices so that they can be able to get their issues resolved. That obviously coming from the previous term. I mean, if you look at the issue of the NPOs who remain unpaid today, who are supposed to take care of the homeless people on the street. I mean, if you look at the issue of security guards that have been camping outside the health department and looking for assistance from the MEC, they are still waiting to be assisted. I mean, you look at the social development department, there are service providers that have delivered uniforms for young children, and most of them are elders, that have been contracted with the province, and they've been waiting for their payment, for a very long time. They were hoping that after elections, there will be an executive that can be able to respond to them. I mean, the other day we went to the offices to go and see whether we can speak to the officials to see whether they can be able to assist these individuals. And the same officials were telling us that, we are waiting for the Premier to announce our boss. We can't move without his or her signature and his approval. So this is stolen service delivery in a big way. And we hope that these parties are able to see that they are contributing to lack of service delivery, and they can be able to find each other on these positions that they are looking for.
Are these mere petty party politics? How major are these differences? Is this just merely about distribution of positions? Others seem to believe it's more probably about contracts to participating members.
We really do not know. I mean, we can only rely on what we hear from the media. Tavo, we obviously, there's leaks that are coming through that we can be able to pick up on what exactly is seems to be the stumbling block. But from what we picked up from the earlier interview that was done by the Premier, it seems like it's only positions. I mean, he indicated that there are new parties that have come into the GNU, and all of them wants to be in the executive. I mean, really, didn't ANC anticipate that when they bring in so many parties that they will need to make sure that they accommodate all of them. So it looks like they were not ready for this, and clearly it looks like the negotiators themselves are unable to find each other and find a way forward, and ensuring that they make all their partners comfortable as on where they are placing them. So, but it also shows that all these partners themselves are only there for their positions. They're not there to actually go and serve the residents of Gauteng. They're not there to go and actually advocate for what they campaigned for during the elections. So it's really something that is worrying. That will worry the residents of Gauteng. But we must also remain hopeful that maybe in the next day or so, they can be able to find each other. Then we can be able to start with service delivery. From us as those who are in opposition, we are looking forward to tomorrow because we have been invited to come and engage with the legislator to start with, the preparing for the work that we have to do in the legislature in terms of oversight and holding this government accountable. But from the executive point of view, we need them to really resolve their issues so that we can be able to start delivering services.
You seem to have completely thrown the towel, if it were, or just closed that door completely of participating in this. I know you previously approached, you refused, but now that there's a deadlock, do you think ActionSA can play any role in breaking that deadlock?
No, we are always available to advise them, Tavo. We are some of us are quite experienced. We have had an experience of working with the DA, very difficult party to work with. The level of arrogance there, it's unbelievable. But also we know that the ANC comrades as well, they also want to hold on to their positions and so that they can be able to continue looting. But we are always ready to give advice where we can be able to give advice. But look, I think they've laid this bed and they must sleep on it. All what we want is for them to resolve this issue so that they can be able to continue with services. I mean, if then they fail to do so, they must inform society, that, look, we are failing to find each other. We think that this thing will not going to be able to continue. Probably let's go for re-election or whatever, but it is that must actually come out and tell us. Because if you look at it, it looks like the issues are not only at the provincial level. The province is also waiting for the national negotiators to also find each other there, because the president is also operating alone. He doesn't have ministers, and so forth. So it's a big problem that we seem to be facing. But if they fail to really find each other, they must come out clear and then make society aware that they've failed, and then we can be able to go for re-election, and hopefully people can be able to elect leaders that can then be able to put together this arrangement, because they are difficult. But if you go in there, with the interest of the residents, not the interest of individual parties, but interest of the voters, then you will be able to put all these things aside and find each other. But it seems like that is not the case with these parties.
Interesting assessment of the parties. I mean, one, you're saying on the one hand, you have parties that are stubborn and you've dealt with, and the other one, you've got those who want to protect their self-interest because, of course, positions have now gone. Is the DA overplaying its hand?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's what we also saw. I mean, unfolding in the last few days, where it looks like the DA thought that they are the only party that should be considered. But also, I mean, that's how they projected from the beginning. I mean, ANC and DA projected that this was their coalition, and I think that's how DA took it as well. That they will run with that narrative that they are the one that will decide everything. But that's how the DA operates. We have known them to obviously try to always want to be the one that dictates and tell others what to do. And they didn't get their way with us when we were in a coalition. And even today, as we are working with them in Swani, we continue to work, with them, but we hold each other accountable, and our voice must be heard at all times. And that's what we always advocated for, that if you are in a coalition with other parties, irrespective of how small they are, they should also be respected, and their voice must also be heard at all times. But the ANC, it's an over 100-year political party. They've been in coalition before. They should be able to negotiate and find their way around these issues. But it's really disappointing that so many days have passed, and to date we don't have a government. We don't have a government at national. We don't have a government at local, and people are playing politics and trying to show each other, how tactful they can be and outmaneuver others. It's not really what South Africans are looking for. South Africans are looking for leaders that can be able to sit around the table, identify issues that are bothering them as a society, look for solutions, and then put the best foot up forward so that they can be able to resolve those issues as political parties in government. So that's what we are hoping that they will eventually do, Thabo. But you know what? We can only hope and wait to see what will happen in the next day or so. But we are calling for them from our side as ActionSA that please recognize that our residents are waiting for service delivery. There's so many things that needs to happen. There's so many roads that remain incomplete here in Gauteng. The Department of Transport needs to renew contracts. They need to make sure that contractors comes back to site and complete those roads. There's so many things that needs to happen. I mean, we are currently dealing with criminality that is happening with gangs and, making our communities, scared to be on the street and all that. We need a provincial government, community safety department that can be able to work with Metro Police, SAPS, to be able to address these issues that are happening in our communities. If they are sitting in boardrooms and arguing about positions, the lives of people on the streets are at risk, and they are supposed to be the one that assist us to deal with these matters. So we are really pleading with them that they must find each other as quickly as possible. They must stop fighting over positions. It's issues of communities that they should be fighting over. They should be fighting over how many jobs are we going to be creating, how many people are we going to employ, and ensure that they've got a foot on the table. They should be fighting about those type of things, not positions that they are fighting over today.
Final question, I beg your pardon, I want to put to you. If it appears in the week that it is falling apart, right, this particular arrangement, if you're looking at the numbers, EFF with the ANC will still give you 39 seats, which is not enough to put them over. Would you be willing, as ActionSA, to join that government to give them the necessary majority to govern?
No, we're standing alone, Thabo. We have taken a resolution as a party that we're going to stand on our 2 feet. We're going to build our organization, ensure that we build all our structures from the ground, ensure that we build sustainable structures that will be able to take us not only towards 2026, but towards 2029 elections. We have learned some lessons from the multi-party charter that we're coming out from, and we think that as a party, as young as we are, as a 3-year-old party, all that we can do is to build our organization, strengthen internal democracy in our organization, and start looking for areas where we can be able to grow and prepare ourselves for 2026 local government election. So we are not interested in any coalition or with any of these parties. I think what is important for us is to go in there into legislature, into national parliament, and hold these governments accountable for the benefit of our residents, and ensure that, come 2026, that we get ActionSA into the levers of power through the votes that we'll be getting from our residents. Obviously, they will judge us on how we perform in this term, the seventh administration,
Right.
as an opposition party, and they will decide whether we are actually the right party that they should vote for come the next election.
Appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. That's Funzi Ngobeni there, the chairperson of ActionSA in the Gauteng province. We're asking you the question, 072-110-5584. Our party is going about this arrangement the right way by prioritizing positions over a joint program for delivery. Hi, Tabo. GNA is the right government for South Africa. Different parties with different ideas are working together. Will succeed if they tolerate one another. That's DH Bengule. My take on GNU, the foundation is not strong enough. Look at the days the president has taken to appoint executive cabinet. That indicates that some political parties want to bypass the constitution. They want themselves to appoint cabinet members, and they have become constitutional delinquents, as these are prerogatives of the president. They forgot yesterday that they were blaming the Guptas for appointing, not the president. Rejoice saying, indeed, individual interest now supersedes national priorities as politicians are jostling for positions.